There exists a lie that humanity accepts as absolute truth from birth, that aging is an inevitable destiny, an irreversible process against which we are powerless, when in reality, each wrinkle, each gray hair, each diminishment of vitality is merely the physical manifestation of a mental state that you can transform through conscious awakening to your eternal nature. Paramahansa Yogananda revealed to his most devoted disciples that the age of the body is written by the clock of the mind, but the age of the soul is measured by the brilliance of consciousness that radiates through the eyes. And when you awaken to this revolutionary truth, you discover that carrying decades in the body does not mean carrying them in the spirit that animates it. But what if you discovered that your body is a sacred garden capable of flourishing in any season of life? That your cells possess innate wisdom to regenerate themselves when they receive adequate nourishment not only from physical foods, but primarily from the cosmic vital energy that permeates the entire universe and awaits only to be consciously channeled through practices that reconnect you with the inexhaustible source of youth that has always resided in the deepest core of your being. In the coming moments, you will discover a transformative 7-day method that can reverse years of aging through the application of spiritual laws that operate beyond the limitations that materialistic science considers unbreakable. The first revelation that must completely transform your understanding of aging is recognizing that your physical body is not a mechanical machine destined for inevitable deterioration, but a living temple pulsing with divine energy, prana, cosmic vital force, that can be consciously directed to regenerate, revitalize, and literally reverse processes that seemed irreversible when you learn to operate as a spiritual gardener, caring for the sacred garden you inhabit. Aging happens not because time passes, but because connection with this energetic source weakens through mental, emotional, and physical habits that block the natural flow of vitality that should irrigate each cell with renewing freshness. Imagine a magnificent garden that begins to wither, not because the season changed, but because the gardener forgot to water the plants, not because the soil lost fertility, but because the channeling of vital water was obstructed by debris of negligence. This is what happens with the human body when we cease to consciously nourish it with the energy that maintains radiant youth, regardless of how many years Chronos has registered in its seemingly implacable cycles. Each cell possesses divine intelligence programmed for perpetual regeneration, but this programming only activates when it receives adequate fuel from awakened consciousness. The Himalayan masters preserved the story of a yogi who lived 300 years maintaining the appearance of a 30-year-old man, because he discovered the secret of breathing not only air, but liquid light from the cosmos, feeding not only on food, but on pure joy, resting not only the body, but diving daily into eternity through deep meditation. Aging, he taught, is spiritual hunger disguised as a natural biological process. The fundamental regenerative practice begins with conscious recognition that you are the administrator of a sacred temple, not a victim of processes beyond your control. Establish daily at least 10 minutes of energetic irrigation. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, visualizing golden light entering through the top of your head and coursing through each cell of the body, especially areas that feel fatigue or stiffness. During this practice, repeat internally, each breath renews my divine youth. Cosmic energy flows freely through my bodily temple. I am a conscious channel of eternal vitality. This is not fantasy visualization, but a scientific redirection of measurable bioelectric energy. The second revelation exposes a truth that few dare to consider. Each thought of chronic worry, each emotion of resentment fed over years, each pattern of unprocessed stress literally engraves invisible wrinkles in the energetic structure of the soul before manifesting as physical marks on the face, stiffness in the joints, diminishment of organic vitality. What we call natural aging is frequently the karmic accumulation of decades of neglect of the inner garden, where we allowed weeds of negativity to grow freely, while flowers of joy, gratitude, and serenity withered from lack of conscious cultivation. Visualize two photographs of the same person, one showing a face contracted by years of bitterness, another radiant with one who cultivated inner peace. Even if they have identical chronological age, the energy they radiate reveals completely different ages, because one fed the soul with emotional poison, while the other nourished it with spiritual nectar. The obedient body simply reflects in dense matter that which was sown in the subtle dimensions of consciousness through dominant mental patterns. Yogananda narrated about two twin sisters who, at 60, appeared to have 20 years difference. One had spent decades ruminating grievances, cultivating fears about the future, constantly complaining about circumstances. The other had practiced daily forgiveness, maintained childlike curiosity about life, dedicated herself to loving service to others. "You can choose," said the Master, "whether your face will be a library of sufferings or a gallery of blessings. Each expression you habitually maintain sculpts features that will remain. The karmic purification of aging requires honest inventory of the emotional patterns you carry. Identify 3 emotions that most frequently dominate your days. Are they nutrients for youth, joy, gratitude, enthusiasm, or toxins for aging, irritation, worry, discouragement? Establish a daily practice of emotional detoxification. Before sleeping, review the day, identifying moments where you fed aging patterns, then consciously transform them through forgiveness, gratitude, or positive reinterpretation. Affirm with conviction, "I dissolve all emotional poison accumulated in my soul. Forgiveness and gratitude renew my youth at every instant. I harvest in the body the vitality that I sow in the purified mind." The third revelation unveils the mystery that connects outer beauty with inner purity. Your face is a canvas where the soul paints a self-portrait through habitually maintained expressions. When you dissolve ancient grievances, forgive deep resentments, liberate paralyzing fears, the skin literally and energetically clears. Eyes recover youthful brightness. Facial muscles relax in natural serenity that no cosmetic can reproduce, because it emanates from the authentic source of youth, which is the soul, free from unnecessary burdens. True plastic surgery happens in the interior laboratory of transformed consciousness. Imagine a magic mirror that reflects not only physical appearance, but primarily inner state. A person carrying guilt for decades will see in the reflection weight that ages prematurely. One who practiced loving self-acceptance will contemplate lightness that preserves freshness, regardless of chronological age. Each emotion habitually maintained sculpts micro-expressions that, repeated thousands of times over the years, create permanent topography on the face. Worry lines versus smile lines reveal the spiritual geography of an entire existence. The Ayurvedic tradition teaches that there are marmas, energetic points on the face, that respond directly to emotional state. When someone cultivates deep peace, these points radiate subtle luminosity that confers an appearance of natural youth. When tensions accumulate, the same points contract, creating shadows that dramatically age the physiognomy. Young face, the sages explained, is a face without emotional masks. The transformative practice of inner facial cleansing combines physical technique with spiritual purification. In the morning, while washing your face with water, visualize that you are also removing all accumulated negative impressions, each drop symbolizing forgiveness, each movement of your hands radiating self-love. When applying any care product, mentally bless your skin, declaring, "I honor this sacred temple. My face reflects the growing purity of my soul. Divine beauty manifests through my serene expression." During the day, practice facial micro-meditations. Consciously relax muscles of the forehead, eyes, and mouth whenever you notice tension. replacing habitual contractions with expressions of peace. Cultivate the inner smile that radiates through the eyes even when lips don't move. The fourth revelation illuminates how all great spiritual traditions of humanity developed under different cultural languages, similar methods to retard or reverse aging through conscious awakening to the eternal nature of the soul and its capacity to regenerate dense matter when aligned with superior laws of existence. Hinduism celebrates siddhas, realized beings who conquered mastery over the physical body through pranayama, breath control, dharana, mental concentration, and samadhi, union with cosmic consciousness, maintaining youthful vitality for centuries because they learned to nourish physical form directly from the spiritual source. Buddhism preserves teachings about ever-new mind, a state of consciousness that renews itself at every instant through full presence, dissolving mental conditionings that crystallize age in the body. When the practitioner cultivates beginner's mind before each experience, cells respond with regenerative freshness because they don't carry the weight of expectations based on past experiences or fears about an uncertain future. Even modern science has begun validating what mystics knew intuitively. Regular meditation alters genetic expression. Conscious breathing oxygenates cells in superior ways. Positive emotional states stimulate production of hormones that retard aging. Gratitude practices strengthen the immune system. Researchers have discovered that people who meditate present longer telomeres, cellular structures associated with longevity, confirming in laboratory truths that yogis demonstrated through their own extraordinarily long and vital lives. The practical integration of universal traditions creates a synthesized protocol of rejuvenation. Incorporate conscious breathing, Hindu pranayama, for 15 morning minutes, visualizing golden energy nourishing each cell. Practice full presence, Buddhist mindfulness, during daily activities, especially meals and walks. Cultivate active gratitude, Christian spirituality, through 3 daily blessings for the marvelous functioning of your body. Maintain youthful curiosity about constant learning, Greek philosophy, never assuming you already know everything about any subject. Declare as synthesis. All wisdom traditions converge in my renewal practice. I extract from each spiritual source nutrients for my eternal youth. I am a perpetual student in the University of Ever-New Life. The fifth revelation presents a systematized method that combines energizing breathing, regenerative meditation, conscious eating, and powerful affirmations in a 7-day sequence capable of activating rejuvenation processes that remain dormant due to lack of adequate spiritual stimulus, not through drastic changes that the body would resist, but through gradual and harmonious adjustments that work in harmony with the natural wisdom of organic systems. Days 1 and 2, respiratory purification. Practice golden light breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, visualizing cosmic energy entering through the top of the head. Retain for 4 seconds, allowing light to circulate throughout the body. Exhale for 4 seconds, releasing accumulated toxins and fatigue. Days 3 and 4, eternal heart meditation. Visualize a golden flame pulsing in the center of the chest, expanding with each heartbeat until it envelops the entire body in a luminous cocoon of divine youth. Days 5 and 6, rainbow eating. Include foods of all natural colors in each meal, eating slowly and blessing food before consuming it, visualizing that each bite provides not only physical nutrients but vital energy. Day 7, total integration. Combine all previous practices in a complete renewal ritual. Throughout the week, maintain a glass jar with water exposed to sun for 30 minutes daily, drinking this solarized water upon awakening while declaring, "I am the eternal youth of God flowing in each of my cells." This is not suggestion based on beliefs, but application of scientific principle that sunlight alters the molecular structure of water, creating more favorable conditions for optimized cellular hydration. The anchoring of practices requires loving but unbreakable discipline. Establish fixed times for each element of the protocol. Treat commitments with yourself with the same seriousness as professional commitments. Record sensations and changes in a rejuvenation diary to track subtle but real progress. After 7 days, many report more luminous skin, increased energy, recovered flexibility, renewed enthusiasm, signs that the body responded to the spiritual invitation to remember its regenerative nature. The sixth revelation unmasks the deepest illusion that keeps humanity imprisoned in an unnecessary cycle of deterioration. Aging is not an unbreakable biological law, but a collective hypnotic suggestion so powerful that it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. When an entire society accepts as natural that the body must progressively degrade, each individual unconsciously programs their cells to fulfill this expectation, creating reality that confirms the original limiting belief. What few perceive is that this programming can be consciously reprogrammed through awakening to the truth that the soul never ages and the body obeys directives of the consciousness that inhabits it. Visualize a collective hypnotist constantly whispering, "You must become slower, stiffer, more tired with each passing year." And imagine how different it would be if the same hypnotist said, "You can remain flexible, energetic, and radiant regardless of chronological age." The first suggestion creates accelerated aging. The second awakens regenerative potential that always existed, but remained dormant for lack of adequate stimulus. Yogananda explained this phenomenon through an analogy with a gardener who plants seeds but constantly tells them they will never grow. Plants, responding to the vibration of disbelief, wither even having all physical conditions to prosper. Collective mind, he warned, is a pessimistic gardener planting expectations of decline in each individual consciousness that doesn't awaken to its sovereign authority over its own biological destiny. The programming of temporal hypnosis requires conscious substitution of limiting beliefs with regenerative truths. Whenever you perceive automatic thought about getting old, immediately substitute with powerful affirmation. Each day I become wiser and more vital. When others comment on your age as limitation, respond gently. Age is opportunity to express spiritual maturity through an increasingly refined body. Cultivate companionship with people who see aging as positive evolution, not inevitable decadence. Declare daily, "I free myself from all collective programming about aging. My individual consciousness determines the rhythm and quality of my cellular renewal. I am the spiritual sovereign of the temple I inhabit." The seventh revelation expands the concept of rejuvenation beyond physical appearance to encompass youthful quality in all aspects of existence. Enthusiasm for work that transforms routine into adventure, capacity to marvel at small daily miracles, mental flexibility to learn constantly, open heart to love without fears based on past experiences, insatiable curiosity about future possibilities. True youth is not measured by skin elasticity, but by soul elasticity that creatively adapts to any circumstance, maintaining inner freshness independent of external challenges. In the professional environment, a person young in spirit approaches each project as growth opportunity, not heavy obligation, offers innovative ideas instead of repeating worn formulas, collaborates with genuine joy instead of competing with bitterness. In family, distributes generous hugs and encouraging words that nourish both giver and receiver. In health, practices gratitude for the miraculous functioning of the body instead of focusing only on what doesn't function perfectly. Paramahansa Yogananda observed that people truly young in soul possess three distinctive qualities. First, they serve something greater than immediate personal interest, finding transcendent purpose that energizes each action. Second, they maintain sense of humor about their own limitations without losing seriousness about spiritual growth. Third, they cultivate relationships based on giving instead of only receiving, discovering that genuine generosity is an inexhaustible source of vitality. The integration of multidimensional youth transforms daily life into a field of regenerative practice. Upon awakening, establish intention to approach the day with curiosity of a child discovering the world for the first time. During work, seek at least one way to improve process or help colleague, keeping mind active and heart engaged. In family relations, offer daily unexpected gesture of affection that positively surprises. Before sleeping, identify 3 new things you learned during the day, keeping brain in state of constant growth. Affirm as lifestyle. Youth flourishes in me through enthusiasm, generosity, and constant curiosity. Each area of my life reflects the renewed freshness of my awakened soul. I serve with joy and learn with gratitude. The 8th final revelation elevates understanding of rejuvenation to transcendental dimension by recognizing that the true source of youth does not reside in specific techniques or temporary practices, but in permanent connection with divine consciousness that is eternally young, eternally creative, eternally renewing. When you anchor identity not in the temporal personality that ages, but in the immortal spirit that manifests through physical form, all cells respond vibrating in frequency of perpetual regeneration because they recognize their essential nature as individualized expressions of the one life that never knows decay. This is not abstract philosophy, but measurable energetic reality. The more deeply you connect with the spiritual dimension through meditation, prayer, contemplation, or selfless service, the more clearly you perceive that you who ages is only a temporary character interpreted by eternal consciousness that remains always fresh, always new, always ready to create unprecedented experiences through the bodily vehicle it chose to inhabit during this specific incarnation. The great saints of all traditions demonstrated this principle through extraordinarily long lives maintained in radiant vitality, not because they followed special diets or secret exercises, but because they lived in constant state of communion with the inexhaustible source of existence. When you live in God, taught Yogananda, God lives in you, and God never ages, only flourishes in new beauty at each cosmic dawn. The supreme realization of this truth transforms aging from feared process into celebrated opportunity. Each additional year becomes chance to refine expression of inner divinity. Each new experience offers material for growing wisdom. Each overcome challenge demonstrates infinite power of soul over temporary circumstances. You cease counting years as accumulated losses and begin celebrating them as spiritual conquests, milestones of conscious evolution toward the perfection that is inevitable destiny of all awakened consciousness. Live this truth. I am eternal youth of divine soul expressing itself through ever-renewed form. Each breath connects me with cosmic source of inexhaustible vitality. Time does not diminish me. It only deepens me in understanding of my immortal nature. While these revelations echo through each fiber of your being, recognize that fundamental transformation has already begun, not only in your intellectual understanding of aging heart, but in the very energetic structure of your relationship with time. Age and vitality, for now you possess sacred keys to access the inexhaustible source of renewal that has always resided in the most intimate sanctuary of your awakened consciousness. Each practice you embrace with loving dedication, each limiting belief you dissolve through illuminated understanding, each moment you live in conscious connection with your spiritual nature becomes investment in cosmic bank account that pays dividends of perpetually increasing youth. The supreme secret that Yogananda whispered only to his most devoted disciples is this: you never age, you only mature in the increasingly pure expression of divine beauty that has always been your true essence. And when the physical body finally fulfills its function as temporary vehicle of the immortal soul, you will discover that you wisely invested each earthly day in developing eternal qualities that no calendar can measure, nor cemetery can contain. May the next 7 days be the beginning of a lifetime dedicated to celebrating the eternal youth that you truly are. If these revelations awaken deep recognition in your soul, if you felt truth vibrating in each word as remembrance of wisdom you always possessed but had temporarily forgotten, then the sacred moment has arrived to share this transformative light with other seekers still imprisoned in the illusion that aging is inescapable destiny instead of opportunity to demonstrate spiritual mastery over dense matter. Leave your like on this content as energetic declaration that you choose soul youth over body age, and write, "I am light," in the comments to radiate this regenerative frequency through the digital community that forms around eternal truths. Subscribe to this channel to continue receiving practices and revelations that transform common life into extraordinary journey of conscious rejuvenation, where each day becomes opportunity to more fully express the radiant divinity that inhabits your bodily temple. Share this knowledge with those you perceive ready to awaken, perhaps someone discouraged with signs of aging, perhaps friends seeking natural alternatives for vitality, perhaps person that compassionate universe will place in your path to receive exactly these words at the perfect moment of their transformation journey. May the eternal light that resides in you as you manifest through each renewed cell, may your entire life become living testimony that awakened soul possesses supreme power over illusory time. And may you walk through future years not as one who ages, but as being who constantly deepens in expression of divine beauty that is your eternal heritage and inevitable destiny. May eternal peace flourish in perpetual youth through the sacred temple that you are.